So the benefit of the doubt toward the law enforcement, I think many would say it's really tough to give the benefit of the doubt when we've felt a certain interaction, a certain oppression all the time. When you say things like the George Floyd interaction, how much the benefit of the doubt? Was it at 7 minutes? Was it at 8 minutes? Was it at 0 minutes? So more tangibly, I think we would all do better to live with giving people the benefit of the doubt, but there is a sense in the culture and due to the past, due to struggle, that's very hard to do with law enforcement because of past experiences that get us to this point. So, how do you respond to that?
I completely understand it. And I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, if you've only had bad experiences, or the people around you have only had bad experiences, or even maybe not through firsthand experience, but the only thing you hear is that you're going to have bad experiences, then you go into a situation expecting a bad experience. I wouldn't hold it against, as much as I wish they wouldn't, I can't say that I hold it against anybody who goes into an interaction with a law enforcement agent expecting the worst, because we're usually not there, for anything other than a negative reason. Now, obviously, there's other things we do in the community to be involved, but realistically, most of our interactions are predicated upon something bad has happened or we think is about to happen. So I completely sympathize with that, and I feel like I'd be a fool who is completely oversimplifying the issue if I looked at that community and said, just don't. Just go into it with a more open mind. That's an impossibility. That's like telling somebody who's never been taught how to swim just to jump into the deep end and expect that things will work out well. If you have no experience other than being told it's going to end up poorly, you're going to expect it's going to end up poorly. And I can't blame somebody for that. That just realistically, that's just the way life is. And that's why I think we just have to take it one interaction at a time. I guess the most I would ask for is just allow me the interaction. If you allow me the interaction, I'm confident that we can probably start to see eye to eye. Um, I would say, just allow that. Don't slam doors in faces, things of that nature, is a start, but I'm not even going to go as far as saying, just trust me that it'll be positive. I won't say that, but allow me the opportunity to show you, I guess is the most that I can ask for.
And when you were saying a bit of the data, what came to my mind was like use of force and how, you know, what why do law enforcement officers get a benefit of the doubt when they have these situations, and is that warranted or not? And I think what we're seeing now is that benefit of the doubt is disappearing and maybe disappearing completely. And I don't know if I have a good answer for. I think one of the things we have that people go through, and so people people of all walks of the community can come in and just get an idea of what it's like to be a law enforcement officer. One of the things that's always interesting to me is we have like a simulation of a shooting, basically, and it's you get to hold the sim gun, the paintball gun, basically, and you have to watch as somebody approaches and decide whether they have a banana in their hand or a gun or a phone or whatever. And I think it's not until they go through that and like somebody pulls out a banana and they shoot them in the chest that they realize what it takes to be what your law enforcement officers are going through when these things happen. And so what I always look for in these situations is, and again I have to I guess caveat the George Floyd incident because I think it's an exceptional one that required basically it was just difficult in general. That was over the top for sure, really from the get go. But in general, to take a pause and just realize what is going through an officer's mind and what is happening when you have to use deadly force. And I think this perception that police officers are anxious to get out there and shoot somebody is ridiculous. I mean, I've been on countless arrests for heavily armed individuals, and we want nothing of the sort. The best day is always the day when we come to the door and somebody comes out with their hands up, and nobody wants to go through a shooting. It's terrible. It's awful, and it's probably you know, I fortunately haven't been through it, but the people that told me about what you go through, it's horrific to go through that experience. And but just realizing like how quickly you have to make decisions when your situation can turn from life to death. And just taking a pause to where if something like this happens, we need to at least have a pause and make sure that it gets a complete investigation. And there is like, take the raw emotions on either side out of it and let's take a real look at what had happened. And from the officer's vantage point, because he's the one that's involved in it. But so I think it's just an awareness, and it doesn't, you can say that, and I don't think that solves the issue. Like, that doesn't mean that, but if you want to know, like, that benefit of the doubt comes from the experience of officers, and you have to do things in a split second. And it's what you perceive and how fast things can change and turn from life to death is, it's dramatic. It's, I don't know, it's hard to explain without actually seeing it or going through it.